Hi everyone, it's been a while since I've done a video as there were a few other things happening on my side, but I'm back now and I wanted to talk a bit about podcasts. So I wasn't really a podcast person before. I never really found a reason to listen to them despite recommendations from friends because I like to multitask, and I thought if I'm listening to something, I want to do something with my hands, and if I'm doing something with my hands, then I'm not going to be paying attention to what I'm listening to. And that was before, and now enter lockdown and the 3,000 piece jigsaw puzzle that I'm working on. So I'm making good progress, but what I enjoy most about doing this now is that it gives me an excuse to listen to podcasts. So I don't listen to the news because obviously I can get the news from the TV or the internet, and I haven't really listened to any travel podcasts because I thought maybe it would make me nostalgic for back when we used to be able to travel and do our summer holidays and things like that. But other than that, there are tons of options to listen to, and there are many that I've been recommended that I haven't had a chance to try. But here are 5 podcasts that I am listening to now. So how I built this is a podcast that goes behind the scenes of many famous businesses and talks to their founders about their success stories. There are tons to choose from, and basically I just scroll through and choose businesses that I'm interested in. And I like that you get to hear straight from the horse's mouth about their journey and what they think their sort of special sauce is. And although every business is a bit different, it can be really inspiring to hear about how in most cases, they start from sort of humble beginnings and build a successful business. How to Fail is almost the antithesis of how I built this, in that it interviews successful people from different backgrounds like actors and designers, authors, and business owners, and it talks through sort of the setbacks that they've faced. And I think in this age of sort of glossy, photoshopped social media where everyone tries to portray a perfect lifestyle, it's really refreshing to sort of peel back that sheen and realize that we all have obstacles to overcome, and how it's these difficulties that make us who we are. So this is one for the creatives out there. This is a really entertaining podcast I found that gives you sort of creative prompts and encourages you and picks you up when you're feeling a bit stuck. The host, Andy J. Pizza, is an illustrator, and he has this really infectious Jack Black-esque quality about him, and his passion for inspiring people really comes across in the podcast. All the episodes are named after different creative topics, so you can choose sort of what you're in the mood for, or how you feel that day. There's hundreds of them, like how to find your artistic voice or how to find your flow. So I'm really enjoying listening to this one. If you have children at home, this is when you want to put your headphones on. I heard about this podcast actually even before I started listening to them, and when I was looking for something a bit lighthearted and easy, this was recommended to me. So it's absolutely hilarious, obviously not for children because it's very graphic, but the title says it all. My dad wrote a porno. So the host's father, who is in his mid-60s, wrote a porno, and the host and his 2 friends basically go through chapter by chapter in great detail, and it's terrible and absolutely hilarious. And often my partner walks into the living room wondering what I'm laughing about, and then he sees me with my headphones on and it's, oh, okay, you're listening to that podcast again. So I'm really enjoying this one also. And now my last 2 recommendations are actually 2 podcasts that just really speak to me. Poetry Unbound is hosted by an Irish poet named Patrick O'Tuma. He reads each poem and then talks about sort of the meaning of the poem in general, and then how it's reflected in his own experience specifically. He has a beautiful voice, and his readings and explanations make poetry sort of really accessible for people who don't normally get into poetry that much. Each episode is only 10 minutes long, and it's titled by the topic that the poem talks about as opposed to the name of the poem. So the first 2 episodes really moved me. They spoke about our life lessons and experiences that make us who we are, while some of the other ones were really heartbreaking or inspiring. So I really highly recommend this podcast. My last recommendation is a podcast that I discovered only recently, even though it's been going for a couple of years, and it's quickly become one of my favorites. Any Americans that grew up in the 80s will know LeVar Burton as the host of the children's program Reading Rainbow. This was one of my favorites growing up. He would read stories and encourage you to use your imagination and to read more. And of course, he's also an actor. So some of his more famous roles were in Roots, both the TV series and movie, and also in Star Trek: The Next Generation, where he played Geordi LaForge. So I've actually tried reading a few other short story podcasts where the author would actually read their own stories, which I thought would be more true to the actual voice. But once I found this one, I realized that being a good author doesn't necessarily mean that you are a good voice performer. LeVar Burton's voice and his interpretation of text makes these stories really come to life in a way that the others really just can't even begin to compare. At the end of each story, he shares a little bit about why he chose the story and what he saw from his own life in it. I started from the first episode and I'm working my way through each one at a time and absolutely loving it. So I can't recommend the last 2 podcasts strongly enough. They really transport me to another place during sort of these uncertain times. So I hope you enjoyed my podcast recommendations. Try them and let me know what you think. Also, feel free to get in touch and let me know if there are any podcasts that you're listening to and why you love them. Thanks for watching and see you next time.